What's up, everyone? We're just out here, beautiful September morning, out here
September
on
5th.
September 5th, out here on a piece of property that we're trying to kill some deer on. So
we've been hunting it for a few years now.
Several years, well, not several, a few years, yeah.
Yeah, a few years. It's actually really hard to hunt. It's beautiful in the fact that there's not a lot of human activity.
Mm-hmm.
We can get we get good pictures of good bucks out here. What's hard about this property is there's so many finger ridges, and we got this field that's back here. I kind of let it grow, but there's two fields like this, and we have a couple cameras, and last year we did a small rough food plot. We got some good pictures.
Some really good bucks, yeah.
It's just, on the finger ridges it's hard. They're only 30 yards wide on the top, and it's just so many little gullies, and it's hard to get out here and actually get a good deer in front of you.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot of swirling winds. You're dealing with a lot of just, if you want to get back to these spots in the back part of the property, you got to walk through so much. You're disturbing the bedding, so it's more of an afternoon-ish sit. If you want to get it in the rut, it's probably a little bit different.
Yeah, we hunt this property hard in the rut. That's where
it's a good rut property.
But this field right here is the first easy access piece right here. So this is early season hunt. We've been coming here, doing some preseason work all summer.
Mm-hmm.
You and I have.
Yeah.
We wanted to actually start a food plot out here.
That was the goal.
But we both have full-time jobs, and we just couldn't get to it. So if you guys are like us, you're watching this and you're like, man, I haven't even been out there to get any food plots or real preseason work in, don't worry. We've been hunting this for a couple years now. We know how it generally works. We know this is where we're gonna hunt this field in this knoll early season, and then we're gonna get back in the thick part of the property in the rut. And it's about 160 acres, and there's hunters all around, but we generally tend to hold some good deer.
Yeah, it's a weird, you know more about this property than I do, but you had the deer show up more towards August, right?
Yeah.
They're not really here for much of the summer.
No.
Sometimes they are, but they kind of move towards this area, especially right here.
Yeah.
Come mid-August, and when they start shedding velvet, they'll hang around.
Yeah.
So it's all about, so we're just gonna cover today just the property, what we've learned. He's on this place longer than I have.
We'll show you some pictures of some previous bucks. And last season in November 9th, I believe, I was able to get him I was filming him back on the backside of this property, put him on a really good buck.
He gave me the shot, yeah. The opportunity was there, and I looked it.
It was one of those, we've all experienced, it was unfortunate. It wasn't, it was
the split second, it all came to it. He caught our wind, and I hit a twig, and it was just one of those
arrow glanced
shots,
off.
Yeah.
But we'll show that in there. And then a few days later, I went the same spot, and I killed my target buck back there, and it was just awesome. We had him actually on this camera, which is a ways away. This property kind of comes in narrow and then opens up back here, and the back over here is where we have that spot. So we were able to get an awesome buck last November. So that was
with
awesome.
You. That was that.
Yeah.
I should have been with you.
But if we end up getting an early season buck out here, I'll tell you how this works. I've noticed consistently, and it's not only with this spot. So this is just a tactic. I've been hunting whitetail since I was 12, and just a lot of failed attempts, a lot of success stories, a lot of stupid, idiotic things that I've done. But I've noticed all the big deer that I've killed and or seen on camera or with my actual eyes been right after a storm.
Especially this spot. This spot's insane. Yeah.
So we're gonna, if it's late September, beginning of bow season, October, early October lull, late October, and if it's raining out here, we're gonna be out here.
We're booking it. We're putting on our white squall setup.
Yeah.
Fleece white squall setup, and we'll be out here braving the rain.
Yeah.
Because that's what you have to do sometimes. The deer are not gonna move. If it's perfect for you, it's probably not perfect for the deer. So you got to find that fine line of, when they're gonna move for the wind, for the weather. And sometimes you gotta ride that line of uncomfortable stuff. Yeah.
And something too for me, I've noticed, if you're oh man, that's really windy or that's really rainy, for those big bucks, it covers up a multitude of sins.
Oh yeah.
Just those bad
true.
weather days, takes, like, I don't know, like a good deal of their natural senses and pushes it out of the way, and you don't have to worry about a lot of your smell. Now you got to worry about, you know, still wind and different things, but the weather actually covers up a lot of your sins.
Yeah, it's so true. It could be the worst enemy, but also could be the greatest friend at the same time.
Yeah. So I don't know what else.
Yeah, but I think we're gonna try to. We have an old trail camera that's dead way back there. So we're gonna probably walk back there, grab it. I'm not sure what we want to do with it yet, but we'll just kind of keep going on with this property, show our strategies, and talk more about it as we go. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. All right, so just a little pro tip, or I don't know about pro, but definitely a tip that I've found out just over my, I would say, many years of hunting, especially on this property. We have so many steep ridges. I've found that the deer like don't generally travel up on top of the ridges or on the bottom of the ridges. They kind of stay, they'll go up there every now and then or whatever, but I've kind of found out if I have a stand like in the center of a ridge or like a different trails, especially on a little saddle, that's a sweet spot. So many people get caught up on like, oh, this looks very deer-y, like down here in this bottom, which can be the case sometimes, and or on the top, but generally we just checked the camera just up on top of this ridge here. Beautiful trail, looked like it'd been well worn, and like hardly anything for the last like year, and this camera has not been touched at all, hardly. So like it is, not a lot of human activity, and it just kind of goes to prove that out here, especially on these ridge tops, you kind of think, okay, I'm gonna hunt there, and you do a lot of hunting, and that's why a lot of hunts are kind of, you know, fruitless. Like you just go out there and just burn time. So hunt smarter, not harder. And then we were out here, and like on one of these trails, it wasn't on top of the ridge, it was on one of these trails on the side of the ridge, found an awesome shed. So it's gonna be a big deer this year. The back end of this nice property over here, this is where Gabe had a nice shot at a beautiful buck last year, and this is where I killed my target buck. So we're gonna go put out the last bag of corn for the season, and I'll show you the setup. Let's get to it. All right, so here's the beautiful thing about this setup. We're on this beautiful long ridge here. Comes down to some little saddle valleys. It's a long ridge, like several hundred yards long. When Gabe and we have a tree stand right here, and it's like a three-pronged tree. So a lot of cover. Again, get up real high. We're like 30 feet up in the tree. Last year, we're right on this little edge of this little hill, so not a lot of deer can come behind us. They'll kind of come pretty close. So last year, Gabe's buck came walking up from this area. Unfortunately, our wind was going right here. It hit our wind and started walking back, and he had to take a shot down here, and it hit a branch. That's unfortunate. We're hopefully going to reconnect this year. So Gabe has business to finish.
I have a vendetta.
Vendetta.
Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Right.
Then for me, I was a few days later after Gabe's close call. I was up here, and there's this every year there's a giant rub line and a whole bunch of scrapes going all the way along this ridge, all the way along. So I was in here a few days later, early in the morning, and I had a buck rubbing on some trees over here and making a couple scrapes. Rattled a little bit. He didn't really care about that. As soon as I did a snort, like just snort wheeze, like he was like
exactly like that.
And started, yeah, no, not exactly. It was terrible. I'll do that again. As soon as I did a little, he was like, just stopped, looked around, and just started walking sideways. I got a 25-yard shot, and he was ears back, walking sideways. You'll be able to see the buck. Beautiful, gorgeous buck. I was so blessed to have harvested him. And yeah, so hopefully we got a couple big bucks on camera this year. We're gonna try to, like, I think Gabe's buck is walking around as well. We're gonna try to smoke him. So stay tuned.